ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं शरवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि वदन्ति भूरिदा जनाः। Your words are like nectar, bringing life to scorched souls. They are praised by poets and remove all sin. They are auspicious to hear, wonderful and exalted. Those who spread these words throughout the world are truly giving souls. Welcome to our class on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We are on the chapter Visit to Shinti Brahmo Samaj. And in the middle of this chapter, Sri Ramakrishna actually left there and went to visit the Marwari community at the Border Bazaar. So the date is actually Monday, October 20th, 1884, and we're at the top of page 641. As Sri Ramakrishna was resting, the Marwari devotees had been singing bhajan on the roof. They were celebrating the Krishna festival. Arrangements had been made for worship and food offering. At the host's request, the master went to see the image. He bowed down before the deity. Yeah, they had this annakut. This is offering of all different types of dishes, foods, and things that get piled up like a little mountain of food. Sri Ramakrishna was profoundly moved as he stood before the image. With folded hands, he said, "O Govinda, thou art my soul, thou art my life. Victory to Govinda. Hallowed be the name of Govinda. Thou art the embodiment of Satchidananda. O Krishna, Krishna. Krishna is knowledge. Krishna is mind. Krishna is life. Krishna is soul. Krishna is body. Krishna is caste. Krishna is family. O Govinda, my life and soul." Uttering these words, Sri Ramakrishna went into samadhi. He remained standing. Ram Chatterjee supported him. After a long time, the master regained consciousness of the world. The Marwari devotees were about to take out the image. The offering of food was to take place outside the room. The master joined the procession of devotees. The food was offered with arati and music. Sri Ramakrishna fanned the image. Then began the ceremony of feeding the Brahmins. Yeah, these are very standard things when they have very big celebrations. There'll be feeding of the Brahmins and of poor people, pundits, and all sorts of things. The master and his devotees also partook of the prasad. Yeah, now Sri Ramakrishna here is taking the food from the Marwaris. Yeah, and we know at other times, usually when they brought things, they would bring large amounts of fruits and sweets and things like that, that he himself wouldn't take them, and he wouldn't give it to the devotees in general. He would say, save it for Narendra. Yeah. He had great respect for the Marwari devotees, but they were business people. So this was just, I mentioned last time in the back of his mind that for Sri Ramakrishna, being so simple, even this idea of making a profit off of things, you buy it at a certain price and sell it for a higher price, even that was a little bit of dishonesty. Of course, we know that you can't have a business unless you do that. So he had some hesitation, and he used to say about Surendra, that Surendra was quite well-to-do. I don't know exactly what he did. He worked in an office. And he used to say to Surendra that, I know you work in an office, you have to be compromised, tell lies sometimes in the office. He said, but why do I eat your food that you offer? He said, because you're so generous. that you give so much away. You give more than comes in and everything. So Sri Ramakrishna, and now seeing the great devotion and food that's offered directly to Krishna, he has no hesitation in taking the food. And Sri Ramakrishna took leave of the host. It was evening, and the street was jammed as before with people and vehicles. I don't know exactly what this Krishna celebration is. We just had Kali Puja, and then after that, they had what they call the autumn celebration for the Brahmo Samaj, and now we have this Krishna Puja. It's like a week afterwards. No, Janmashtami will be in August or September. Yeah. Yeah, but it's it correspond to anything. Yeah. Anyhow. And in India, every community has its own calendar and special holidays, holy days, and different. Even how many different New Years there are. I hear that next week is it Yugadi from South India that they'll have their New Year's, and following week will be Bengali New Year. Yeah. Yeah, people don't realize this tremendous variety within India. Swamiji once said something like a greater variety than you'll find in the different countries in Europe. And it's probably true. I mean, they have some unifying ideas, of course, philosophy and religion and everything, but in terms of different languages, it's similar, actually similar. The Europe has Northern Europe and Southern Europe, Romance languages and Germanic languages. Yeah. Yeah. We got an article came long ago from Prabhupada Bharata. From some high official in the European Union.
Yes, and he said India was taken as the example for unity in diversity.
Okay. So this European Union, they actually look to India to see how there could be such diversity in terms of language and food and culture and everything, and still feel unified as a country. And now, with this European Union, it's similar, to what we have in India. Marwadis are from Rajasthan. Yeah. So there's a great tradition, partly because of Mirabai and everything, of the worship of Govinda, and also this one of the famous temples in Rajasthan. What's the main city? Jaipur. This is Govinduji. This was the image that was worshipped in Vrindavan, and for the fear of the invaders, it was shifted to Jaipur, and it's still there to this day. I went there one time. It's a nice, beautiful atmosphere. Yeah. So they'll be Krishna worshippers predominantly, and of course, they're known for their valor. The people of Rajasthan. So Sri Ramakrishna, he was very impressed with this community. Generally, communities that leave their home base and go to another part of India or part of Europe, whatever it is, are in commerce. Yeah, generally they go there for that reason, and also they're not landholders, and so this is a very common thing. And very often they become wealthier than the local people, and there's a lot of resentment towards them. We see this everywhere. Say the Chinese in Malaysia and Singapore. It's a common thing. Yeah. But there's a beautiful. If we try to picture the scene, whatever the celebration is not just this little Marwari community, but the streets are packed with people. There's a whole fair going on. Carriage can't even move. Just imagine there's people on tops of carriages, and uh, Swami is going so slow that Thakur himself will get out and walk. Uh, so such a festive atmosphere is it's really something. So Sri Ramakrishna took leave of the host. It was evening, and the street was jammed as before with people and vehicles. He said, "Let us get out of the carriage. It can go by a back street." Proceeding on foot, he found that a betel leaf seller had opened his stall in front of a small room that looked like a hole. Yeah, this is another common thing that we see so many times. Just a tiny little thing, they can't even stand up in it. I had one experience. This was, I think, in Pakistan, Peshawar, I think. That it was nighttime. It just shops were all closing, and I went to a little tea stall, just a little bare, empty little room with two brothers there and serving tea and everything, and they were ready to close up, and they served us the tea, and then we saw that they just closed the doors of it. They could swinging doors there, and they went to sleep. They didn't change their clothes. That's where they lived. That was their whole life was in that little room. Yeah, and a large, percentage of Indians during that time, especially the big cities, they had to live like that. So proceeding on foot, he found that a betel leaf seller had opened his stall in front of a small room that looked like a hole. One could not possibly enter it without bending one's head, the master said. How painful it is to be shut in such a small space. Yeah, Sri Ramakrishna for everything. Everything was an analogy for something spiritual. So a small space means cramped. It means not experience that freedom. And how we love the outdoors and open spaces. Yeah. That is the way of worldly people. And they are happy in such a life. Yeah, his example of the bound souls are the ones that just don't know they're caught in the net. They burrow into the mud, and they're very happy there. They don't know that they'll come up when the net comes up. The carriage came up after making the detour. The master entered it with Baburam, M, and Ram Chatterjee. The younger Gopal sat on the roof of the carriage. A beggar woman with a baby on her arm stood in front of the carriage waiting for alms. The master said to M, "Have you any money?" Gopal gave her something. The carriage rolled along Bordabazar. Everywhere there were signs of great festivity. The night was dark but illumined with myriads of lights. The carriage came to the Chitpur road, which was also brightly lighted. The people moved in lines like ants. The crowd looked at the gaily decorated stores and stalls on both sides of the road. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw with the Kali Puja, and just on the streets of Calcutta. And because Diwali is also coming, the little firecrackers going off in the pots, and everybody on the street. And yeah, it was fantastic atmosphere. The people moved in lines like ants. The crowd looked at the gaily decorated stores and stalls on both sides of the road. There were sweetmeat stores and perfume stalls. Pictures, beautiful and gaudy, hung from the walls. Well-dressed shopkeepers sprayed the visitors with rose water. The carriage stopped in front of a perfume stall. The master looked at the pictures and lights and felt happy as a child. People were talking loudly. He cried out, "Go forward, move on." He laughed. He said to Babaram with a loud laugh, "Move on. What are you doing?" Yeah, this was one of his favorite expressions. Egiye paro, egiye jao, egiye jao. Go forward, go forward. Yeah. It, the devotees laughed too. They understood that the master wanted them to move forward to God and not to be satisfied with their present state. This was that story of uh, the woodcutter. No, not the woodcutter. Yeah, the woodcutter. Yeah, that he was told, go forward, you'll find better things. Then he found sandalwood, and then he said, no, don't stop there, go forward. And then he found silver mines and then gold mines and then diamond mines. The carriage drove on. The master noticed that M had brought some cloths for him. Now, this is another mini drama that's been taking place for the past month or so here. Thakur rarely asked for things, but he had asked M to bring one cloth and another. And he got a couple of extra things, and Thakur is going back and forth. Should I take it? Should I not take it? There's a whole play going on here. The master noticed that M had brought some cloths for him. M had with him 2 pieces of unbleached and 2 pieces of washed cloth. But the master had asked him only for the unbleached ones. So now that's the dilemma. If he doesn't need the other one and he takes it, it's saving things for the future. It means he's not relying on mother. And there's one of the cardinal sins for him is saving things up for the future. It's a sign that he doesn't have that perfect reliance on mother in his mind. Yeah. He said to M, "Give me the unbleached ones. You may keep the others. All right, you may give me one of them." Now, M realizes that Thakur is compromising on a principle by saying you can give me one. So M is sensitive to this. He realizes that he probably shouldn't have done it. The master. Then take both. M, as you please, sir. Oh, sorry. M, then shall I take back one piece? Yeah. Master. Then take both. So now he realizes that his feelings won't be hurt if he doesn't accept the gift and everything. So he's accepting the ones that he asked for, and the 2 others that he's saying, you take them back. M, as you please, sir. Master, you can give me those when I need them. So this is kindness to M. He doesn't care, really. He has plenty of people to give him things. You see, yesterday Benipal wanted me to carry away some food for Ramlal. I told him I couldn't. It is impossible for me to lay up for the future. M, that's all right, sir. I shall take back the 2 pieces of washed cloth. Master, tenderly, don't you see, if any desire rises in my mind, it is for the good of you all. You are my own. I shall tell you if I need anything. Yeah, in the sadhu life, there's always or often a clash. 2 different principles. One, we don't want to accept anything that we don't need. And 2, anyone offers anything with love and devotion, we don't want to hurt their feelings. So we see different sadhus do things differently. I know Swami Swanandaji, he used to accept anything, and if he didn't need it, he would wear it once, say a shirt or something like that, and then give it away. Yeah. But yeah, it's not nice to hurt anybody's feeling. And at the same time, we try to keep our standards a little bit, not accept things that we don't need. Referring to a devotee, Sri Ramakrishna said, I said to him yesterday, tomorrow I shall go to Bordabazar. Please meet me there. Do you know what he said? He said, the tram fare will be 1 anna. Now, 1 anna, I don't think, they don't even make them anymore. Huh? Not even in those days, it was nothing. Yeah.
So 1 anna is 4 paisa.
1 anna is 4 paisa. Yes, 1 anna is 4 paisa. Yeah, 4 annas are 25 paisa. Yeah, I don't know how that works. Anyhow, it was almost nothing. This is probably somebody who has a good job and everything. So Thakur is amazed. How does somebody say something like that? So he said, the tram fare will be 1 anna. Where shall I get it? We don't know who this is. We don't get the name of this person. But where shall I get it? He had been to Benipal's garden yesterday, and no one had asked him to do it. He had put on the show himself. He wanted people to know that he was a member of the Brahmo Samaj. Yeah, maybe he was somebody who really had nothing. Huh? Yeah.
So yeah, my bad. 1 ana is 6.25.
Yeah. Yeah, if he goes 4, it will be 25. Yeah. Yeah, I remember because you can get a cup of tea for charana. Yeah. Huh? So then to M, Sri Ramakrishna says, can you tell me what he meant when he said that the tram would cost him 1 anna? Yeah, it means he didn't want to come, and it means he's cheap. I don't know. We don't know anything about this person. The conversation turned to the Annakut festival of the Marwadis, master to the devotees. What you have seen here, one sees at Vrindavan too. Rakal has been seeing the same thing there. But the mound of food at Vrindavan is higher, and more people gather there. There you also see the Govardhan hill. That's the only difference. Yeah, Sri Ramakrishna had his pilgrimage there to Vrindavan, and we know he was so enchanted by the place that he didn't want to leave. And that Ganga Ma was there, and wonderful holy woman. And see, we think Sri Ramakrishna couldn't bear the company of women. He was ready to share a room with her. She'll be on one side, he'll be on the other side. And she must have been a very, very high soul. Yeah. Then he remembered his mother and had to go back. Of course, he couldn't have stayed. The Leela wouldn't have worked. Did you notice the Marwadi's devotion? That is the real Hindu ideal. That is the Sanatana Dharma. Did you notice their joy when they carried the image in procession? They were happy to think that they bore the throne of God on their shoulders. Yeah, this is a practice that I know it's common in South India. I don't know in Bengal if they do it so much, that taking the image out and taking it on procession, or having a second one. Yeah, having a second one. I remember this because Swami Shantarupanandaji, he made a beautiful statement one day that Sri Ramakrishna was the image that remains in the temple. There's a term. What do they call this? The mullah, right? And the one that goes outside. No, there are other terms. Anyhow, yeah. And Swamiji was that same image that was taken out to go. Yeah, very nice.
In the south, they normally have a palanquin
Yes,
carrying the mom.
especially for Krishna, there'll be yeah.
In Bangla,
Yeah.
in Marwari, there's a word called Khotta Devki Bhakti Devki.
Huh?
Khotta.
Kutta. What is?
Khotta is a common.
Huh?
I think it is not a English-speaking people in Bengal. Yeah, but this is not a. That is not a good word. Yeah, it's a kind of a khotta.
Slang word. Slang word. Uh-huh. So he's not saying no more words. He's saying yeah.
Yeah, English is good in that way.
Uh-huh.
It's not mentioned, but in Bengali it is khotta.
Uh-huh.
Khotta Devki Bhakti.
I see. So when he says, yeah, did you notice the Marwadi's devotion? Yeah. So it means so that those people from the west, from the northwest or something. Yeah. That is the real Hindu ideal. That is the Sanatana Dharma. Yeah. Did you notice their joy when they carried the image in procession? They were happy to think that they bore the throne of God on their shoulders. The Hindu religion alone is the Sanatana Dharma. This Sanatana Dharma term, nowadays it's a little bit of a political term, and a little bit with Hindu nationalism and everything. But really it just means that it's eternal and universal. Eternal and universal. And There's a little, it says, the various creeds you hear of nowadays have come into existence through the will of God and will disappear again through their will. They will not last forever. This, to me, is a reference to Brahmo Samaj on the one hand, and this Karita Bhaja sect, and these are others. So many little things had come up at that time that that come and go. These different types of movements and things. Therefore, I say, I bow down at the feet of even the modern devotees. So that'll be this the Brahmo Samaj. Yeah. The Hindu religion has always existed and will always exist. M was going home. He saluted the master and got out of the carriage near Shobha Bazar. Sri Ramakrishna proceeded to Dakshineshwar in a happy mood. Okay, so now that was the 20th, huh? Now we have a new chapter. Yeah, so now October 26th. So this is a Sunday. This is chapter 33 with the various devotees. It was afternoon, and many devotees were present in the master's room. Among them were Manomohan, Mahimacharan, and M. They were joined later by Ishan, Hazra, and Hazra. Balaram and Rakal were still staying at Vrindavan. The many young boys who at this time began to seek the master's company later became his intimate disciples. Latu lived with the master, and Yogin, the Swami, later Yogananda, who lived in the village, was a frequent visitor. Yeah, many or several of the direct disciples didn't come until 84 and 85. Some just the last year of his life had come. So we have Manomohan. Manomohan was Rakal's brother-in-law and the one who brought him to Sri Ramakrishna. Mahimacharan, he was a regular devotee, but also very show-offy kind of guy. Yeah, proud and tried to pass himself off as a great Jnani and everything. He's part of the play. So Thakur would have fun with him, but Thakur liked him. And him, of course. And Ishan, we know that Ishan was very, very devoted to Sri Ramakrishna. And because of Ishan, we get that beautiful chapter, advice to Ishan, on the night of Kali Puja, where Thakur goes into that mood and gives the beautiful teachings. Hazra, we also know. Balaram and Rakasi, many of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, they formed individual friendships. Some had marriage connections. Say Baburam's family and Balaram's family. They had different family connections, and they traveled together, and they stayed with each other. That Ram Babu's house, that Swami Shivananda stayed there for some time, this Nitya Gopal. So they really formed a little community. Sri Ramakrishna, happy child of the Divine Mother that he was, radiated a joy and peace that was reflected in the hearts of his devotees and found expression in their happy faces. They were seated on the floor and had their eyes fixed on the master, who was standing in a pensive mood like a boy. Master to Manomohan, I see Rama in all things. You are all sitting here, but I see only Rama in every one of you. This became a great theme for Sri Ramakrishna that became more and more predominant as he got closer to the end of his life. That big turning point was when he broke his arm, and this is something that he used to credit Vaishnav Charan for. That when you start to see God and residing in all beings, this will be the highest kind of worship of God. And so we see this so many times. In Kashipur, it was really the whole room. They'll almost be stunned at Thakur just seeing God dwelling in each and every being. Yeah. For him, such a tangible and real thing. Yeah, it was wonderful. Manomohan, yes, sir. It is Rama who has become everything. Yeah, this concept of Rama is not just this avatar Rama. This is Rama who dwells within all beings. There's some Bengali couplet, huh? Ghat something that Thakur used to repeat also.
Bengal, it's Hindi.
What did I say? I said Bengali.
Yeah.
No, Hindi. It's a Hindi couplet. Yeah. Yes, sir. It is Rama who has become everything. But as you say, though all water is Narayana, yet some water is fit for drinking, some for washing the hands and face, and some only for cleaning pots and pans. Now, this is not Thakur's mood at this time. It's not like, oh, there's less of Rama because this is a low caste person or anything. He's seeing the divine presence equally within everybody. So, the master, it is true what you say, because he used to say it also. It is true, but I see that it is God himself who has become everything, the universe and its living beings. Now, these are two different moods that Thakur had, combined in one here. Sometimes it would be that I see God dwelling within, and I see this body just as a covering, a pillowcase. Other times he'll say, I see that everything, the table, the chair, all of this is nothing but this either divine mother or glory of God or Shakti in manifest form. But always this divine presence. So we can say that it's not just the sun shining in that container of water, that living soul within, but even the container itself he sees as divine. Yeah, both. So the universe and its living beings, Jagat and Jiva, both. We're used to hearing this in Jiva. Yes, of course, Jiva is nothing but Brahman. Jagat is nothing but Maya, Mithya. He say no, that I see that also as a manifestation of the divine. Presently, the master sat down on the small couch near his bed. Master, to Mahimacharan, there is no question of my being truthful, but must I develop a mania for it? Now, Sri Ramakrishna, really, he was had a certain fanaticism about telling the truth. We know that, how he would remember something in the middle of the night, he would go stick his foot there and say, I've come, and leave. And yeah, it's a type of, they call it bai, like shuchi bai or something. And he recognized that it was too much. And sometimes at the end of his life, he says, it's lessened a little bit. Yeah, now this mania for telling the truth, it lessened a little. He could never tell a lie, but for simple things that you say that you're hungry, and you want to, you say you're not hungry, you don't want to eat something. Then it comes and you say, oh, it looks good. So previously he couldn't do it. And then things lessened a little bit. He got a little softer with those things. If I once said that I shall not eat, then it is impossible for me to eat, even if I am hungry. Again, if I ask a particular man to take my water jug to the pine grove, he alone must carry it. If another man carries it, he will have to take it back. What a fix I am in. Is there no way out of it? Besides, I can't carry anything with me, neither food nor betel leaf, for that means laying up for the future. I can't carry a little clay in my hand. Just then, a man entered the room and told the master that Hridoy was waiting to see him in Jadu Malik's garden near the gate. So this is that southern gate. Yeah, I've never gone. I don't know if it's covered with the woods or anything now, but that's where his house was. Now, we know about Hridoy. I thought I would just read just a tiny bit of what we find in the Bengali Gospel. They have this little, very small write-ups on some of the important personalities that we find in the Gospel. He was the third son of Hemangani. Hemangani was Thakur's, it says, Pishtutbon. What does that mean? Father's sister's son. Yeah. So we would say the first cousin. Then he lived in Shihor. We know that Thakur went there many times. he must have had a close relationship with his Hemangani. No?
Himangini is his mother.
Yes, yeah. So his aunt, Thakur's aunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably he would go to visit her also. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that, and we know in Shihor that they would have this kirtan every year. Thakur would go there, and there's Panihati also every. He used to like this. Yes, the 7 days, 7 days and nights they would have the kirtan, or 8 days, something like that. Yeah, I saw that once in Tulsi's place, Shabar, near Dhaka. Uh, they had it was also I think 7 days and nights, non-stop kirtan. So he was one of the main, most important actors in this play of Sri Ramakrishna. He came in 1855. That means 25 years he served Sri Ramakrishna. Yeah, 25 years. And then there was that unfortunate then he took it into his head to worship the young daughter of Trailokyanath, was the daughter of was the son. So this will be Mathur's granddaughter. Huh? Yes, yeah. And it was considered very inauspicious for a Brahmin to worship a young girl, non-Brahmin girl. So he got kicked out. But that was the apparent reason. Actually, Thakur had to pray to mother to have him removed because, and we'll get to that. So in the beginning, he used to help Sri Ramakrishna. Thakur would only agree to do the worship in the Kali temple if somebody else would take care of all adorning her and dressing her and looking after the valuable things and everything. So Hridoy did that. And then later he did it at the Radha Govinda temple. And then he became the actual pujari of the Kali temple. Then it says, really, that if it hadn't been for the very sincere, devoted service of Hridoy, Thakur's body would have been very difficult for him to remain alive. Even he did so much for Sri Ramakrishna that in the early days that made sure that he would at least get some food and everything. Otherwise, Thakur he wasn't capable of looking after himself at that point. Then every once in a while, he would completely misunderstand Sri Ramakrishna. This was a common thing. Hazra also, and take him to be a fool who couldn't live without him. That where would his Guru Giri be without Hridoy? Yeah, this profession of being a guru, and he got very, very arrogant, actually. And then Taha Prati Birup Ataranka, then he really behaved badly. Behaved very, very badly. And also towards the Holy Mother, that his behavior was very, very bad. It was he had some resentment towards her. He insulted them so much one time that they all left, father, and this was not. Yeah, even Ramlal, he stopped her pension afterwards later, and so they didn't have that type of respect for her then. Yeah, he tried a little bit to do some spiritual practice, but then finally, his behavior became so bad that Thakur that one time Thakur actually went to Ganga to drown himself. So we can imagine. Yeah, we were talking this morning how even simple things, somebody brings something for him like cauliflower, and he's so afraid that Hridoy is going to make a fuss and take it and say, "Oh, why should you have it?" That he just like shivering in fear. Yeah. Otherwise, how do we? How do we understand how Sri Ramakrishna could allow Holy Mother to be so insulted that she goes back all the way back to Jarnambati by what Hridoy says? Unless we understand how Hridoy tortured him, and how if he had said something to him, Hridoy may have, I don't think he would have beaten him or anything, but just made his life miserable. And Thakur was just like a little child at that time. Then it says, despite all of this, that Sri Ramakrishna had tremendous affection for him, and that he had received his grace. At the end of his life, he actually had to sell these gamchas, cloth, and these little towels on the street as a hawker. How to go so low that, but it's he was the one that gave so much information about Thakur for this great master. And then it says, whenever the devotees would meet with him, that he would get lost in memories of Sri Ramakrishna. So he really, when we'll see that he says he's suffering because he's missing Sri Ramakrishna, it was really true. He's not just saying it to flatter him or anything, or because he needs money or anything like that. Then 1899, he passed away in Shihor. Anyhow, there's a lot of other details about his life that we won't go into. But anyhow, this is another one of those scenes that one can really meditate on. Just to picture, and such a personal, private thing, and yet M goes along. Nobody else. He's got to be there. Otherwise, we won't know about it. And somehow nobody seems to mind. M is just like a silent witness to all of this. Yeah. The master said to the devotees, I shall have to see Hridoy. See a whole room full of people talking to Sri Ramakrishna. But it's probably Hridoy hadn't come for a long time. He was back in his village and probably embarrassed to come and depressed, everything. Please don't leave the room, he says to the devotees. He put on his slippers and went toward the east gate of the temple garden, M accompanying him. The road through the garden was covered with red brick dust. The manager of the temple, who was standing on the road, saluted Sri Ramakrishna. The master passed the north entrance of the temple compound, where the bearded sentries sat. On his left, he passed the kuti, the building used by the proprietors of the temple. Then he walked on down the road, which was lined on both sides with flowering trees, passing the reservoir on his right, and went outside the temple garden. He found Hridoy waiting for him near the gate of Jadu Malik's garden. Yeah, this Thakur went many times there. He was fond of this Jadu, but he knew he was a very worldly man. But Jadu's mother was very, very pious lady and devoted to Sri Ramakrishna. This is where Thakur, he put Narendra in that state where he could remember what his role in life was and his past and everything. And that's when Thakur asked all of those questions. Yeah. Where have you come from? How long will you live? What is your goal in life? All of that. And he said all of the answers, and he could give these answers as if hypnotized. And he said all of the answers matched his previous vision of Narendra. So that took place in Jadu Malik's house. At the sight of the master, Hridoy, who had been standing there with folded hands, prostrated himself before him, right on the road. When the master told him to get up, he rose and began to cry like a child. How strange! Tears also appeared in the master's eyes. He wiped them away with his hands. Hridoy had made him suffer endless agonies, yet the master wept for him. Master, why are you here now? Hridoy weeping, I've come to see you. To whom else shall I tell my sorrows? Sri Ramakrishna smiled and said to him by way of consolation, one cannot avoid such sorrows in the world. Pleasure and pain are inevitable in worldly life. Pointing to M, that is why they come here now and then. They get peace of mind by hearing about God. What is your trouble? Frida weeping. I'm deprived of your company, and so I suffer. Now, it could be partly that he's experiencing all sorts of bad karma and everything, and the way he had to leave Sri Ramakrishna. But I think mostly that he realizes that uh, what a privilege it was to live with a God-man like Sri Ramakrishna. I'm deprived of your company, and so I suffer. Master, why? Was it not you who said to me, you follow your ideal and let me follow mine? Fridoy, yes, I did say that, but what did I know? Master, I shall say goodbye to you now. Come another day, and we shall talk together. Today is Sunday, and many people have come to see me. They are waiting in my room. Have you had a good crop in the country? Fridoy, it isn't bad. Master, let me say goodbye. Come another day. Fridoy again prostrated himself before the master and started back to his room with M. Yeah, probably he would have felt very embarrassed to go and sit with the devotees in Thakur's room and everything. Just wanted to see him. Master to M. He tormented me as much as he served me. Yeah, so during that whole period when Thakur was in the state of divine madness, every night he would go and spend the whole night with weeping and calling on mother and everything, and uh, who will look after him? Yeah, this Rito did everything at that time, and then how he tortured him afterwards. Hard to imagine what type of karma or what type of role he had to play in this Leela. He tormented me as much as he served me. When my stomach trouble had reduced my body to a couple of bones and I couldn't eat anything, he said to me one day, look at me, how well I eat. He was big and strong and a little dull, not very sharp, but bold and kind of courageous type, strong, very much body conscious. Again, he said, you are a fool. If I weren't living with you, where would your profession of holiness be? One day he tormented me so much that I stood on the embankment ready to give up my body by jumping into the Ganges, which was then at flood tide. M became speechless at these words of the master. For such a man, he had shed tears a few minutes before. Yeah, this is the difference that these great souls, they'll remember any nice thing that somebody did and forget the bad things. We remember the bad things and forget the nice things. This is the greatness of these spiritual people. Master to M. Well, he served me a great deal. Then why should he have fallen on such evil days? He took care of me like a parent bringing up a child. As for me, I would remain unconscious of the world day and night. Besides, I was ill for a long time. I was completely at his mercy. Yeah, this means ill. It means Thakur suffered terribly from dysentery. He'll be washing him and cleaning him and everything. Yeah, like a mother does with an infant. Yeah, how much that he did, and yeah, even Thakur doesn't know why. He's saying, why should he have fallen on such evil days? M did not know how to answer Sri Ramakrishna, so he kept silent. Sri Ramakrishna returned to his room and sat on the small couch. The devotees had been waiting for him eagerly. Several devotees from Konagar had arrived. One of them came forward to question the master. Now, we had another incident where this very extremely rude devotee comes from Konagar, and he's asking, "Have you seen God?" and show God to us and prove it. And if you've done it, then give direct. Very rude. And Thakur was very patient with him and everything. This is a different one. He'll ask almost the same questions, but very nicely and just listens and everything. So the devotee. Sir, we hear that you go into samadhi and experience ecstasy. Please explain why and how you get into that mood. See, the other devotee from Konagar, he did everything in a challenging way. Yeah, you have this samadhi, prove it, show it to us. Yeah, but he was nice about this. Master. And again, Thakur doesn't always answer these things directly when it involves some type of ego sense or talking about himself and everything. He'll deflect it a little bit. Master. Shri Radha used to experience Mahabhava. This Mahabhava is considered to be a state that ordinary people cannot realize. So just as Thakur talks about Nirvikalpa Samadhi, it's a very rare thing that only these great souls can experience that and come back down again, that only these few other great souls, Ishvara Kotis and others, can experience this Mahabhava. With his Nirvikalpa Samadhi, how to bring the mind back down again. The Mahabhava, whole system will be shattered. He says, like a bull going into a little elephant in a small hut, straw hut. It'll just destroy everything. Or getting into a small pond, a little water hole, all the water will splash out. So this is that high Mahabhava. There's a bhava, prema, Mahabhava, the highest possible state of ecstatic love of God. For her, of course, it was towards Sri Krishna. If any one of her companions wanted to touch her while she was in that state, another of them would say, please do not touch that body, the playground of Sri Krishna. So indirectly, he's saying in that state of samadhi, one is not oneself. God alone is sporting within the body at that time. Of course, this will be the bhava samadhi. It is not possible to experience bhava or mahabhava without the realization of God. So now bhava he's using in the ordinary sense. The bhava will be some type of just emotional high experience. He's using it now really is equivalent to this mahabhava. When a fish comes up from a great depth, you see a movement on the surface of the water. And if it is a big one, there's much splashing about. That is why a devotee laughs and weeps and dances and sings in the ecstasy of God. One cannot remain in bhava very long. So we can take this to mean bhava samadhi, really. It's not just a very emotional high mood, something deeper than that. People take a man to be crazy if he sits before a mirror and looks at his face all the time. Devotee. So this will be that same devotee from Konagar. Sir, we hear that you see God. If you do, please show him to us. Same thing that the other one says, but the tone is different. We understand by the answer and everything. Master, everything depends on God's will. What can a man do? While chanting God's name, sometimes tears flow and other times the eyes remain dry. While meditating on God, some days I feel a great deal of inner awakening, and some days I feel nothing. See, we complain. Why don't I feel? Sometimes for meditation, I don't feel anything. Even Thakur is saying, yeah, for him, of course, it's not equivalent to when we say it. A man must work. Now, this will be a big theme here. That if we want anything in life, if we want to be successful in anything, a student in the schoolwork, somebody in job, spiritual life, we have to work for it. We have to work hard for it. We forget. We think Thakur, everything is Vyakulata and everything is Sharanagati. We simply have to surrender and take refuge and everything. We forget how much emphasis he put on this work, that we have to struggle and strive and everything. A man must work. Only then can he see God. One day, in an exalted mood, I had a vision of the Haldar Pukur. This is a very large pond in his native Kamarpukur. I saw a low-caste villager drawing water after pushing aside the green scum. So he used to say that the water was pure, it was clean, good water, but the surface had the scum. You had to push it away, then you could get the clear water. Now and then he took up the water in the palm of his hand and examined it. In that vision, it was revealed to me that the water cannot be seen without pushing aside the green scum that covers it. That is to say, one cannot develop love of God or obtain his vision without work. No, Thakur uses the same image in another way also, that he says that moving that scum, we see the clear water, very next moment it comes back and covers the surface of the water again. So in the same way, we can analyze this ego sense will disappear, but then it comes back. So he uses that same illustration of this Haldar Pukur. So one cannot develop love of God or obtain his vision without work. Now, work sounds like a very negative type of thing. He means effort. It means self-effort. It means striving. Even struggling is too negative. With one's heart and soul, striving for realization. Work means meditation and japa and the like. So it means our sadhana, our spiritual practice. The chanting of God's name and glories is work too. You may also include charity, sacrifice, and so on. If you want butter, you must let the milk turn to curd. It must be left in a quiet place. When the milk becomes curd, you must work hard to churn it. Only then can you get butter from the milk. So this has all of the things that Thakur emphasizes, that this solitude will go in a very quiet place and everything, and this churning, that it has to, takes effort to do all of that. And then when we get the butter from the milk, then one can live in the world. The butter can float in the milk without getting mixed up with it. He uses all of these analogies. Mahimacharan. That is true, sir. Yeah, there's a Mahimacharan. He's always agreeing with Sri Ramakrishna as if he has the same wealth of understanding. Yeah, as if Thakur needs him to tell him it's true. That is true, sir. Work is certainly necessary, and one must labor hard. Only then does one succeed. There is so much to read. Yeah, he was so proud of his learning, which was actually very minimal. That Narendra went to his house one day and to see this library full of books. And that was my Maharshi, right? Yeah. And he saw that most of them in those days, the two pages would be just one folded page, and you had to take a knife and cut it in order to read both pages. Even today, every once in a while, you'll see books like that. And he said, when all these different books, the pages were uncut. That meant he hadn't read any of them. He simply had them in his library. There's so much to read. The scriptures are endless. Master to Mahimacharan, how much of the scriptures can you read? What will you gain by mere reasoning? Try to realize God before anything else. Have faith in the Guru's words and work. If you have no Guru, then pray to God with a longing heart. He will let you know what he is like. What will you learn of God from books? Yeah, this is, Thakur used to give the illustration that the almanac will tell how many inches of rain will come in a year. He said, but you can squeeze it to try to get the rain out of it. You won't get a single drop. So what will you learn of God from books? As long as you are at a distance from the marketplace, you hear only an indistinct roar, but it is quite different when you are actually there. Then you hear and see everything distinctly. You hear people saying, here are your potatoes, take them and give me the money. Yeah, it's like we can read a travelogue and hear descriptions of a certain place, but it's not the same as going there and seeing for ourselves exactly. From a distance, you hear only the rumbling noise of the ocean. Go near it and you will see many boats sailing about, birds flying and waves rolling. One cannot get true feeling about God from the study of books. So what do we get from the books? We get a hint. We get a glimpse. We get enough to make us want to have the real experience. And of course, different types of books. This is also a book. How much we get from this, and how valuable this is in our spiritual life. This feeling is something very different from book learning. books, scriptures, and science appear as mere dirt and straw after the realization of God. The one thing needful is to be introduced to the master of the house. Why are you so anxious to know beforehand how many houses and gardens and how many government securities the master possesses? The servants of the house would not allow you even to approach these, and they would certainly not tell you about their master's investments. Therefore, somehow or other become acquainted with the master. Usually he says Jadu Malik, or something, with the master, even if you have to jump over the fence or take a few pushes from the servants. Then the master himself will tell you all about his houses and gardens and his government securities. And what is more, the servants and the doorkeeper will salute you when you are known to the master. All that. Shalom Korbi. Yes, were they usually Muslim servants and who had those positions? Devotee. So this is again this Konagar devotee. He's nice. Now the question is how to become acquainted with the master. Laughter. Master. That is why I say that work is necessary. It will not do to say that God exists and then idle away your time. You must reach God somehow or other. Call on him in solitude and pray to him. O Lord, reveal thyself to me. Weep for him with a longing heart. You roam about in search of lust and gold like a madman. Now be a little mad for God. Let people say, this man has lost his head for God. This is what he said to Ishan. Let people say Ishan has gone mad. They live up to your name, Ishan. This man has lost his head for God. Why not renounce everything for a few days and call on God in solitude? Okay, this section will continue. It's a long, I don't know how Em remembered all of this. There's a long section here of this answer to this particular question. So we'll stop here. Yeah. This is page 646. Yeah.
Krishna will say Ongo Chusna. That means, when Krishna was in Mahabharata.
Yeah.
And not to touch his God.
Yes.
But you often see that Thakur when he was in Samadhi. Someone is to hold him, otherwise.
Yeah.
Particularly rely.
Yeah. No, this we have to take in some symbolic way that just recognize that the sacred now at this point in her mind that this is a playground for Sri Krishna, and don't just as a friend or something when Thakur's case like keeping him from falling down. Yeah, it was necessary. So yeah, but in that state he couldn't bear the touch of anybody. Yeah, uh, uh, anybody with the slightest impurity, and then even to that point where it had to be Baburam, Swami Premanand. Yeah, so that means don't casually think that somebody in that state is in a normal state. You can just slap him on the hand or something like that. It's their mind is in a different place, and don't try to bring the mind back down by touching something like that. Okay, so we're stopping here on page 646.
So for Hriday, did Thakur come in the end?
I don't know if we have any account. Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, unless at the end somebody says, "Oh, Thakur, you've come." Yeah,
It was there.
we don't. Huh?
Yeah, it was in the Bengali.
Uh-huh.
He saw hallucination like Thakur has come.
Yeah,
He offered a ashram.
that was Sridhar. Yeah. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukam Hathurvikraham Ishavataram Parameshamedhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namamaha. We bow our heads before Sri Ramakrishna, who is stainless, of infinite nature, whose heart melts in sympathy for his devotees, who is an embodiment of the divine and the Supreme Lord, and ever worthy of our worship. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Okay, thank you, everyone, and we will see you next Friday.